In synagogue last week, the Torah portion, the portion of the Bible that we read was Parsha Shalach. In it, we learned of Moses sending out 12 scouts, all leaders of the 12 tribes, to the Promised Land, at the request of the Jewish people, to reconnoiter the land and to determine if they can conquer its inhabitants and settle the land. This after God promised the land to the Hebrews, to the Jewish people. What chutzpah! This is God who performed miracles in Egypt, the 10 plagues, who brought the Hebrews out on eagle's wings, who parted the Sea of Reeds, who sustained the Jews in the desert, who gave them revelation, who gave us the Torah on Mount Sinai. Yet in spite of God's directive, the Israelites still wanted confirmation of the success of their mission from mere mortals. When the scouts returned, as you all know, 10 of the 12 scouts reported to Moses that it's impossible. They can't conquer the land. They can't settle the land. They saw themselves as grasshoppers amongst giants. Only 2, Joshua and Caleb, gave a favorable report. The scouts, unfortunately, heard the people's voices before they ever embarked upon their journey, and the voices of the multitudes prevailed over their faith in God. For their lack of faith, the Israelites had to roam the desert for another 40 years, and that entire generation perished in the desert. Only their children and grandchildren were able to enter the Promised Land. Fast forward 39 years, God told Joshua, now the leader of the Israelites, that it was time to enter the land. In the Haftorah, the prophets that accompanies this Torah portion, we read from the book of Joshua, that Joshua dispatched 2 scouts. Didn't he learn a lesson from 39 years earlier? But these scouts were sent, as is written in the book of Joshua, secretly, Meraglim Sheresh. Sheresh means in Hebrew, secretly, quietly, without knowledge of the people. In the Midrash, the ancient interpretation of biblical narrative, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai says Joshua told the 2 scouts to be sheresh. In Hebrew, words are based on roots, and one root can have different meanings. So sheresh can mean quiet, secret. It also means deaf, to be deaf. They were told, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai tells us, that Joshua told these scouts to be deaf. They were not to listen to the voices of negativity that would try to dissuade them and put fear in their hearts. They should see for themselves and tell the truth. They did just that and returned to Moses with a favorable report. This is a relevant message for us today. There are times we need to be deaf to the din, to the voices of defeatism and political cowardice. There was an initiative by the European Union, led by France, to publish a statement criticizing the United States of America for its relocation of the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. It was to be issued on May 11th, just 3 days prior to the U.S. Embassy opening celebration and ceremony on May 14th. This initiative failed for 3 reasons: Hungary, Romania, and the Czech Republic. Yes, they do deserve. These 3 nations blocked this joint European Union initiative. These nations were deaf to the defeatist voices, the political cowards of Europe. We thank Prime Minister Viktor Orban of Hungary, Prime Minister Dancilo of Romania, and Prime Minister Babis of the Czech Republic for being a little deaf to the voices of the European Union. We as Americans are indebted to these 3 nations. Again, what these nations did was not in support of Israel. This was in support of the United States of America. Tonight, we are fortunate to have the Hungarian ambassador to the United States. He is relatively... If you're applauding now, wait until you hear him speak. He's relatively new to politics, having entered in just 2014. He's a youngster. Prior to that time, the ambassador, a physician, a transplant surgeon, was a pharmaceutical executive after that, and then he was CEO of Teva Pharmaceuticals in Hungary. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege and honor to introduce the Hungarian ambassador to the United States, His Excellency Ambassador Dr. László Szabó.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you for this wonderful introduction. Yes, I had a fantastic time with Teva. The very first word I learned in Hebrew was balagan, which means chaos. It's so good. I will get closer, okay? What about this? So good to be here. I've been here in Washington, D.C. for 10 months, and this is the first group that can understand me. And I would like to reiterate Mr. Mark Levin's words. Quite simply, if you read the media, and I do, if I read only the Washington Post and the New York Times, I would hate my own country. But I don't. And I'm so glad that in Hungary there's 100,000 Jews, only in Budapest. And this week there's a Juda Fest. It's a celebrity. It's a celebration of culture, Jewish culture. And in Hungary, you don't need armed guards to celebrate Jewish culture. You just walk around the streets. You wear a kippah in the morning, in the evening. Nobody cares because you are part of us. So for us, it's very strange to read that based on the New York Times quite vicious series of articles, just 2 weeks before the Hungarian elections, they started calling us a far-right country. We said, what? A far-right country? Okay. In this far-right country, the far-right party 2 years ago sent Happy Hanukkah messages to all the Jewish organizations. Well, Hungary has, for the third time, re-elected its current mid-right government with absolute majority. And Viktor Orbán is, again, the leader of the Hungarian people. Viktor Orbán and Benjamin Netanyahu are friends for 20 years. And I was very lucky to follow him when he visited last summer Budapest. We actually went to the riverside in front of the parliament to this incredible sculpture that is basically shoes, bronze shoes on the riverside commemorating the Jews who were shot in the river during the Second World War, in the darkest days of the Second World War. Hungary bears this burden since then. But we are also very happy that we have very good things to talk about. Just a couple of weeks ago, together with the Israeli embassy, we celebrated the birthday of Theodor Herzl, who was born in Budapest. We are also very happy here in the US, we have to talk about it, that Hollywood was mostly established by Hungarian Jews in the 1920s. 20th Century Fox, Universal, Paramount, parts of MGM, these were all Hungarian Jews. Can you believe it? Now, to set a new chapter, Hungary has actually vetoed criticism of the US to move its embassy to Jerusalem twice in the EU and twice in the UN, only in the last 3 months. And we will continue to do so. This is unfair. How on earth third countries can condemn an individual country's own decision about who to support, who to like, and what to vote for? It's incredible. Now we are very proud that we have been staunch supporters of Israel's cause. I was very lucky to be in the bidding for the European Maccabi Games. So Budapest is organizing the European Maccabi Games next year. You are welcome. And I'm also very glad that organizations like yours are clear freedom fighters, just like us. So I believe we have exactly the same objective. So thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you for this organization, and thank you for you all. I had so many things to say, but my great-grandmother told me that short speeches and long strudels are the key to success. So thank you very much for your support. Please visit Budapest. Let's celebrate together. I count on your support, as you can count on Hungary's support as well. Thank you.